What's going on, people? This is Shok. Sorry for the lack of vids, y'all. I've been busy with basically just, writing stuff, things of that nature. But once again, before I get started, I know you guys tired of hearing this, but just want to reiterate that there is a Titanfall giveaway over at Game Realm. Tomorrow is the last day of the contest, so either register tonight or tomorrow, because that's going to be your last chance to try to get a free copy of Titanfall. So make sure you do that. But to the topic matter at hand. Oh, and another thing I forgot before I get into the topic. I have registered for E3 2014. Now, because you registered, that doesn't mean you get accepted. That just pretty much means that I put in, I guess you could say, an application for it. So I'm registered for E3. I should be hearing about whether or not I got in within the next 7 days exactly. Because on the 1st, it said we'll reply to you in 2 weeks. So that means on the 14th, I should be getting a reply back. So wish me luck. Hopefully I'll get into E3 so I can get you guys some great footage, some interviews, things of that nature with GameRealm.com. And if you've never been to GameRealm.com, please make sure you go check it out for your gaming and tech news. Thank you. But to the topic matter at hand, Nintendo must go on stage this year at E3. And don't get me wrong when I say I'm not saying they must in the sense that it's over for them, if they don't, and it's going to be end of the world if they don't. It's going to suck if they don't, but I'm not saying it's going to kill them or anything, or things of that nature. But and I know I say this all the time, but I just can't stress enough how important presence is. Presence and image goes such a long way, people. You see what I'm saying? Such a long way. I don't want them to go on stage just because of my personal reasons. I also think that business-wise, it will be very healthy for them to go on stage this year. Now, yes, it's cheaper for them to, just do it direct, do their own little thing, whatever. But E3 is not going to do anything financially to Nintendo. You see what I'm saying? Their E3 costs money to, get a stage and whatever, and rent out a certain amount of time to do your presentation. But it's nothing that these multi-million and billion-dollar, corporations, can't afford or something like that. That's why they've been doing it all these years since the dawn of time. You see what I mean? But a lot of people who actually prefer the directs, they actually hope Nintendo stage just on, direct rare, don't do the whole stage presentation. And what Nintendo has said themselves is that they do it so they can control what they say, so they can control exactly what information gets across to the media and whatnot. And that just kind of confuses me, because I'm trying to figure out what is it about direct that's different from an E3 press conference that controls the information given, right? Because they're both live streamed, right? Nintendo controls both things. You know what I'm saying? I don't really understand that. What was it about that Nintendo Direct, right, that you couldn't do? I'm talking about 2013's Direct, that you couldn't do on stage. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't really that doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how this is the controlling of information, things of that nature. If it is your press conference, you get to decide what you do on that press conference. You get to decide what information is put out there and how it's put out there. What difference does it make going to a Nintendo Direct? You see what I mean? But I feel that Nintendo needs to be aggressive, to keep constantly talking about how they don't compete with Sony and Microsoft. I said it before, you do. You can say that all you want. You may not want to do that all you want, but just know that you are. You see what I'm saying? You are competing with Sony and Microsoft. Why? Because you're a console manufacturer. They are console manufacturers. Competition. Simple as that. Y'all both make games. You guys are all fighting for the same market share, whether you realize it or not. You are competing with them, and you need to go on stage with them to show gamers that you are serious, to show gamers that, hey, we can go head up with them. I mean, and you've done it before, Nintendo. And for a lot of you guys who'll be like, nah, E3's overrated, which is what a lot of people said when that news first came out, that they weren't going to be on stage last year. A lot of people were like, oh, E3's overrated, whatever, it's just for flashiness and all that stuff. What was the best Nintendo conference last generation, though? Exactly, you see what I'm saying? It was E3 2010. E3 2010 was Nintendo's best E3 last generation. Hands down, every Nintendo fan will agree with that. Now, what did that conference have? right? It had flashiness. It had aggressiveness, right? It had hot chicks walking out with 3DSs strapped to their belts. You see what I'm saying? So I just kind of find it weird how a lot of people are like, they don't need to do this, get caught up in this, mainstream, stuff and stuff like that. But then they agree that 2010 was the best, Nintendo conference. Some of them even think it was the best conference out of any of them for that entire generation. And that was their most aggressive conference ever. With the 7th generation. You see what I'm saying? Why not do that again? And Nintendo got mad props that year for that conference too. Most sites I saw were actually giving the win to Nintendo that year. They need to do it again. It's all about presence. Don't get me wrong, the Direct last year was cool, but that's it. It was just cool. It's like, that was cool. But it's E3, right? Things shouldn't just be, cool. Things should be, that was fucking awesome. That was amazing. But another reason why, and I've given my reasons before in the other older videos, but for those of you who are new subscribers, some personal reasons of mine as to why I didn't want them to do this Direct thing. I wanted them to just stay on stage is because reactions. You can't get reactions from a Direct. You can't. I mean, you could watch people's reactions on YouTube if they live streamed it or whatever, but I'm talking about audience reactions. You can't get that. You know what I'm saying? So whenever they make some Megaton announcement, it's just you by yourself, woo, yeah, just flailing your arms and on your computer screen, right? Celebrating by yourself when you can't, witness this audience. You can't see the live reactions to it with hundreds of people in a room. You see what I'm saying? It's all about the experience. And I understand that it doesn't matter if E3 is all about delivering information, whatever. I understand that, but E3 is also about the hype. You see what I'm saying? It's not just about information. It's just not about announcements. E3 was also made for showmanship. And I think showmanship is a very important factor in this whole, console business. Again, I can't stress enough, that is why Sony is doing so well right now, is because they were able to generate hype despite games, right? Killzone Shadowfall and that was it. 2 games that PlayStation fans themselves, a lot of them consider mediocre, but it's still selling like crazy. Because Sony has presented themselves well enough. You see what I mean? They presented the system well enough. They've hyped it, they've advertised it, and they have shown good showmanship, right? Showmanship, I'm telling you guys, image and showmanship goes a long way. But the most important reason why they need to get back on stage this year is because Zelda U will be at E3 this year. Anuma confirmed that himself last year. Zelda is going to be at E3. You could not show the first HD Zelda in a Direct. You can't do it. You have to show that on stage so we can get live reactions of that thing. You see what I'm saying? We gotta get reactions of that game. That's one of those franchises where everybody is looking forward to the reveal of the next one. Whenever a new Zelda is announced, it's pretty hype. I would say the only one that really wasn't like hype like that was Skyward Sword, and that's because everybody was like, what the F at the, art style of it, and things of that nature, because it looked a lot different from the concept art that they had shown. But other than that, Twilight Princess's reveal, hype. Wind Waker's reveal, while it was met with a lot of what the fuck, just like Skyward Sword, people were still hyped for that. Ocarina of Time, hype. You see what I'm saying? Hype. Hype goes a long way. Sometimes you just need to throw gamers that bone, give them that show they want, give them the fireworks, not Nintendo Land fireworks, but you guys see what I'm saying. And not to mention, another reason why, and a lot of you who watched the Direct last year, you guys can attest to this, lag. When you're streaming a Nintendo Direct, you only have like 1 or 2 or 3 outlets where different, channels where people could watch streams. That's too many people. It was lagging like crazy, alright? People were missing footage. People were missing announcements. After E3, people were like, oh, I didn't even know that was announced. I mean, that happens during regular Directs. You see what I'm saying? So imagine if they were to have another Direct and they show Zelda U and you see the Master Sword on screen or whatever, but then freeze, buffer. You don't want to go through that, right? So that's another reason why they should just go ahead and go on stage. So we can have, all these different sites, we can have Game Informer, IGN, Game Trailers, GameSpot. We have all these different outlets where we can watch the stream, where it's dividing up all the traffic of gamers who are trying to watch the stream of Nintendo's E3. You see what I'm saying? So that's I would say for me personally, that is the new main reason why I feel Nintendo needs to go back on stage this year. I do not want to deal with the lag again. I do not want to deal with the buffering. I do not want to deal with the missing of footage and announcements, things of that nature. It was a mess, and it was and hopefully Nintendo saw that, and hopefully they're not going to repeat that mistake. So I definitely feel that Nintendo has to get on stage this year. They have to make the presence known. They have to show people, you know, why you shouldn't be giving up on the Wii U and why you need to buy one this year. And the only way you're going to convey that message as best as you can is if you get on stage right there next to Sony and Microsoft, come out for blood, come out aggressively, and give us some of that good old school Nintendo that we have, you know, grown to know and love. But that's it for this video, y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.